All right. Now hi Rajan, good evening.
Hi, good evening.
Good evening, Rajan.
Good evening.
Hey Alice, hi. Joy. Yeah, good to see all these guys here joining in.
Hi,
Yes,
Ashu.
Joy.
Just
Joy,
jumped
good
on. Just jumped on. Yeah, sorry. I'm having some video problems, so I'll work on it while you guys natter away.
I thought that was a strategic problem, so you could have your logo there.
Don't give up such trade secrets all right at the beginning, Ashu. Let it be there for some time.
So a lot of you guys must be wondering so we are all a bunch together on Twitter, and some of them are part of Arka. So we are chatting morning, evening on Twitter every day. We've become a Twitterati family.
Okay.
One more member of my Twitterati has joined us. This is Arvind Brahmakal. Hi, Arvind. Welcome. You're on mute.
Hi, good evening, Subbu.
Hi, good to see you.
Great to be here with all of you all.
Very good.
Welcome, Arvind.
Arvind is another CEO from Bangalore, a good friend of mine for many years. So he put a warning note, I am watching your conversation. So, so there's this people watching. Reddy is here. Good to see her.
Yeah, Kurdy is also here. We have more and more people joining in. Yeah.
So I will give a couple of minutes for everybody to come board, so it'll be easy to keep pace. Right? Okay with that, Ashu?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I think we'll give it till 6:05.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. Yeah, sure.
Hello.
Yeah, finally got my camera working.
Hi, Joy. Good to see you.
Hi, Subbu.
It's a joy to see you, Joy.
Pleasure, Subbu. Thank you so much.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, while you guys are sitting on tea time having this lovely chat, I'm giving up my dinner at the moment, so I'm going to wait till this finishes.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm 2.5 hours ahead of you, so I wouldn't miss this for the world.
Okay. But there are no rules on the audience eating their meals when they are watching a program. You can always.
Hey, Subbu, don't mind. Slightly old-fashioned that way. I'm monologue in the sense that I can either listen or I can eat. I can't do both together.
Well, you're in a big club. Don't worry. I mean, yeah.
Lovely to see us also here.
This is one thing we don't believe, Joy. You're diversified. You're so multi-talented.
Well, I won't let the cover image give away the truth of the reality behind. But the reality is that I prefer to eat my meals with concentration. I don't like to look at electronic devices or read. I spend the time eating. I'm not a foodie, but I prefer my time when I'm eating. That's my time.
That's nice. Mindful eating. Good.
Absolutely.
Well said. Thank you. I'm just particular about words being in the middle of, coaches and everybody. So lovely.
Okay. Setup is getting a little nice. Looks like we're going to have a cozy little chat across many people. The way it is, got a lot of coaches also on the call, so it'll be interesting to sort of field some questions from them. So panelists, be prepared.
Oh boy.
Oh boy. Sailesh, you handle thousands of students. Come on.
I have people here who are my teacher's age too, right? Not age, wisdom too. So I can learn a lot more than
of course. That's a well put.
That's fun.
This is what it is. Yeah, this is what it's meant to be. It's not about teaching. It's about sharing experiences. So yeah. Okay, a minute to go.
Deepak, there are 2 books missing from your library behind.
Oh, somebody can tell that.
He's watching what the books are. Huh? Sharp eyes.
Just 2 books missing.
Just lend it to somebody.
So that seriously says we've been having too many conversations now. Deepak, now you need a backdrop like Arun, some bookcase which is a virtual background.
I tried that, but it actually eats up half of your body. Back
I can never get a virtual background going, whether I use it where I'm sitting right now or even inside. Some or the other, maybe my graphics is not strong enough. It just doesn't come. So I gave up. I said, forget it. It's nice to show a lived-in home, slightly messy, because you can see a box behind me out there. And on top of that is a whole packet of masks because the kids start school next week. So they have to daily mask usage and stuff like that.
That needs a quad-core processor. So probably your computer
What we have noticed.
Rajan, the original owner needs a new processor, That's how it is at the moment.
See, what we have noticed, Joy, is people who have a halo around them, for them, any background doesn't work.
Yeah, Subbu, don't pull my leg on this. This is a nice, good official chat. I know it's
it's
shining. It's because I've got a ring light on my front.
You got your facts wrong. This is not meant to be a very serious chat.
No,
Ashu assured me that this is going to be a very easy and comfortable chat, and that's why the panelists agreed to come on board.
So should we start?
Yes, I think we should.
Start.
I'm ready. Okay, great. So fine then, good evening and a warm welcome to the first in a series of webinars from Arka Leadership, a collaborative initiative that has emerged just like a butterfly from the cocoon enforced by the pandemic. First, I would like to share an old story to set the tone for the evening. I'm sure many of you have heard it, but it is contextual. So a sculptor had taken several months of painstaking work to sculpt an exquisite idol of Lord Krishna for consecration at a temple. All his fellow sculptors were awestruck by his love and the meticulous attention to detail, which reflected in the lifelike quality of the deity. They expected it to come to life anytime. Such was the amazing quality of his work. When the sculptor was giving the final finishing touches, his chisel accidentally slipped out of his hand and caused a very small cut on the cheek of the deity. His fellow workers noticed how crestfallen he was and found the reason. His closest associate looked at the damage and excitedly reported to him that the cut could be hidden by just a little bit of polishing. He told the sculptor that as no one will notice it from a distance, he could let it be. Nobody will know. The sculptor looked at his associate, smiled, and replied softly, "I will always notice it," and set about sculpting a new idol. So, authentic leaders are holistic human beings, right? Who balance different roles of life and they stay true to themselves. Life is multidimensional and it is not limited to only being in the roles that we are used to, accustomed to, like a parent or a coach or a leader or a brother, sister, friend, colleague. It's all about how you experience and enjoy life as a human. And authenticity is not an easy topic for discussion, as most of the time it's more a way of life and it's quite personal. But there is a growing need for leaders who can guide organizations through this unprecedented pandemic challenges on the strength of their authenticity and integrity. So what we hope to see happening today is trigger reflections on the need for more authentic leaders in these challenging times, and more are coming our way. So in this inaugural webinar, we are taking an exploratory journey under this theme of leadership with no filters, or a leader with no filters. We are looking and talking to a few leaders who have not been bounded by any filters, but have been guided by their own inner voice. We have an interesting panel of both talent and experience. And I have had the greatest joy working with them, both interacting with them rather, with professionally and personally over several years. And I'm happy to introduce them. And before I do that, I just want to talk about Arka leadership. Just a quick para. Arka leadership is a collaboration of highly credible and experienced coaches and leadership experts who offer individual coaching and customized solutions to develop authentic leaders across different verticals of society. Now to introduce, start with Shailesh Kumar. Shailesh Kumar is an extraordinarily talented and multifaceted professional. He has worked on a diversity of domains, from search to genomics, retail to healthcare, fleet management to telecom. He straddles a diversity of experience, academic, startups, research, product, consulting. He is very adept at building large-scale, complex intelligence systems, advancing both state-of-art in artificial intelligence as well as a technology and use cases of AI in building solutions for enterprises. As a visiting faculty for machine learning at the Indian School of Business and IIIT Hyderabad, he has directly trained and mentored more than 1,500 data scientists in the last 6 years. Seems like Shailesh eats, sleeps, and dreams data. Shailesh has held senior leadership roles in the machine learning space at FireEye, Yahoo, Google, Microsoft, and Ola. He is currently the chief data scientist at Reliance Jio. He is a certified meditation trainer at the Heartfulness Institute. Welcome to this evening's conversation, Shailesh.
Thank you, Subbu, and looking forward to a great conversation and learning from each other. Thank you.
Absolutely. Then we have Deepak signing. Deepak, good evening. Deepak, strategic thinker, gifted leader, and a meticulous product person with a strong entrepreneurial drive and experience in delivering differentiated products across various segments like search, social, productivity, mobile, e-tailing, and e-commerce. And this is how Deepak likes to describe himself. Very simple description, Deepak. He has been in leadership roles in product design and innovation at Samsung, Citrix Systems, American Express. He is currently Director, Product Design at Flipkart. He's also a visiting faculty at the BMS College of Engineering, where he shapes young minds through courses on design thinking and problem solving. He's also an investor and advisor at Urban Buddha, a startup committed to design and develop products for meditative and wellness needs. He is a certified meditation trainer of the Heartfulness Institute. And he's ready to launch his first book. Okay, the cat is out of the bag, Deepak. Welcome on board. Yeah.
Thank you very much, and looking forward to really having an engaging discussion. And
Sure. And then in the trio of panelists is Venkatesh Hariharan. He's a business leader with experience across engineering, software products and services, defense and logistics service industries. He has enabled companies to build successful customer relationships and vendor partnerships. He's currently the India CEO for a mid-sized German materials handling company, ProHub, which has been closely involved in all the supplies for the army in the recent build-up along the border. So he comes from a very hush-hush background. Yeah. Venkatesh has co-founded a supply chain app company and created B2B service offerings, and also executed sales plan for a startup in the AI and NLP space. He has served as a business unit head and consulting practice head for Tech Mahindra at Netherlands and the USA, helping the organization to plan, pursue, and win deals. Venkatesh is also a meditation practitioner and trainer, and volunteers in managing suppliers and vendors for the Heartfulness Institute. So you can see the connect in all these panelists here. Welcome, Venkatesh.
Thank you, Subbu, and thank you, Ashu, for putting all this together. Looking forward to have a filterless conversation with all of you guys.
So thank you, Subbu, for the introductions. And
one more.
Okay.
I'm going to introduce you, Ashu.
Okay.
Yes, it's very important. So Ashu, she is the brain and the heart behind Arka Leadership and the co-host of this webinar. And I'll be handing over the mic to her shortly. So she is the founder and CEO of Arka Leadership.
We can get that.
Yeah? Come again?
we can move forward. Let's move
Yeah,
forward.
yeah, that's fine. Just a very brief idea that she is an absolutely multifaceted personality, and she's modest. That is what makes this quite a good thing to be. I love to collaborate with her for that reason as well, and tremendous experience in multiple roles. And as she's insistent that I shouldn't spend more time introducing her, I'm going to respect that. And suffice to say that she's going to drive this initiative. She has already taken a lot of time and effort in making this initiative come alive in a very short time. We are talking about less than 2 months. And she has brought together 20 coaches from different parts of the world, not just from India, under this initiative. And just to wrap this up, myself, I'm a resilience and leadership coach. My name is Subramanian Shankaran, and I have about 20 years as a CFO in leading MNCs and 13 years in the mentoring and coaching space. And a good part of my experience has been facilitating coaching and mentoring leaders to live up to their true potential. And while they also learn to accept the interferences that life throws at them. And I too am a meditation practitioner and trainer. And Ashu, before we dive into the conversation, a quick disclaimer for the viewers, and since it's recorded, the views expressed by the panelists in this conversation are entirely personal. They do not represent either their current or past employers or associations' views. So now, we also aim to keep this conversation fairly informal and free-flowing. And all those who are at the moment connected, you're welcome to post your questions and comments for the panelists to respond at an appropriate time. Okay. Ashu?
All yours, Subbu.
All mine?
All
okay.
yours.
All right. You wanted to say something before I get into starting off?
No. Thank you very much,
right.
Deepak, Shailesh, and Venkatesh for agreeing and being here. We look forward to a very enriching evening with everybody here. So I think without much ado, let's just get into the conversation.
Okay, great. So some questions just to sort of shape the way the evening goes, and then let's see what emerges from it. That's the idea behind this whole conversation. Because even when we do a conversation, we try to avoid filters. So the topic is leader without filters. So to the panelists, the first question is, what struck you when you were invited to converse with us on the topic, a leader without filters?
It's a rapid fire response.
The sheer authenticity and audacity of it.
2 words, why me? There are so many great leaders. Yeah. So yeah, I was wondering whether, you made the right choice, but yeah, I started thinking of this topic myself and wondering, because sometimes we don't wonder about these very, very subtle aspects, and unless it is bubbled up into our consciousness that there is something called authenticity, we don't think about it on a daily basis. So I think that was for me a good trigger to start thinking about this whole idea, and I've seen changes in my own behavior and thought process after that. So consciously thinking about authenticity is itself a good trigger for me, and I learned something new about myself since then. So thanks for inviting me.
Thank you. Venkatesh.
If for me, what struck me was to hear some views which perhaps would be different from what notions I carry about authenticity and leadership myself. So that said, I was also pretty much impressed with the panelists. In fact, I have heard you occasionally, but not specifically on this topic. And of course, I knew about Ashu and Deepak, but we haven't really gotten into any kind of discussion on this topic. So that is what kind of enthused me to participate in this discussion.
Wonderful. Okay, I hope that you will get those whatever you're looking for, because we are looking more at you up. Well, up to
Sure.
you. Yeah. So yeah,
Sure.
it's a two-way thing. Yes, for sure. So let's see how it emerges, right?
Sure.
And there's a saying that leadership emerges from one's life story. right? And motivation also comes from a very difficult experience in our lives. So, as long-term leaders, you too must have encountered many such moments in your journey. And some may stand out as a defining moment or a turning point in your lives. So, I want to dive deep straight into an experience sharing. Each of you, please share something that you would call as a turning point or a defining moment in your leadership journey. Go ahead.
Who wants to go first?
Ganesh,
No particular,
I can.
no
the
particular
youngest in
order.
the team.
You guys can decide.
Yeah. Okay. So, this happened. See, when life is going well, everything looks good. We are in the normal mode, and that's when we don't discover truly who we are, because everything is normal, right? And when things are not right or something uh, becomes difficult for you, either as a decision or a life circumstance, that's when we realize who we really are, right? And that's what we are learning in the COVID time. The true character building and discovery of our character is happening now, and in difficult times, that's what kind of starts to dominate and tell us who we really are, right? So I'll share one story, maybe a couple of stories later, but this one stuck out because this was just fresh out of my PhD in UT Austin. I joined a company, and then I worked on a very interesting problem, and we created some beautiful IP and everything. And I got an award, and everything was going great, right? And then suddenly, what happened? One day, my boss called me, and he said, "Chalish, our CEO has heard about your work, and he has had a conversation with the CEOs of the casinos in Las Vegas about your work, and they are very interested in applying your technology to the casinos in Las Vegas, and they're willing to pay top dollars for it. They're and really what we had done was we have built a recommendation engine kind of a system way before Amazon came up with it. And then we said, this can be used for many things, and recommending casinos or card games, and all that was one of the use cases that these CEOs had talked together in a golf thing, and it came through my manager, and obviously my manager sat there. He knew I won't do this, and I didn't know that this is going to happen. And then he told me a whole story around how great this will be, how much money it will make for the company, how rich I'll get, and what it will do for me in terms of promotion. And then I said, you spent 1 hour describing all this, building up the whole thing, and it took me half a minute to say no to it. And he was very perturbed, and he was saying, why are you, saying no? He got very upset with that. And then he started to use threatening language, right? So the carrot and the stick. And he said, if you don't do it, then this will happen, that will happen, think about it. And then I thought about it, and again I said no to it. At that time, I realized that, on the spur of the moment, I had to make a decision, which is really about, then I realized the power of technology and the good and bad it can do for society. And I said, as technology leaders or whatever, we have this different kind of a power, right? So we learn something, we create something, and then the purpose of what we do is also our responsibility, and not just the quality of or what we do or the money that we make out of it, right? And at that moment, I was, I don't know, it just came out without thinking. It was natural that I was supposed to say no, and I did. And I came home and I started building my resume. I said, he's going to fire me anyway tomorrow morning, so I should start building it up. And I told my wife, and we were like both very happy from inside, not worried about the future, and feeling very peaceful and unstressed and unanxious about it. And that's when I realized that how critical decisions of what you want to do, and especially why you want to do what you want to do, matters more than how you do it. And why I made certain decisions was to see the greater good of society, as opposed to a personal gain from just build technology for whatever reason and make progress in life, right? And that was a turning point. I realized that that gave me a lot of confidence that I can stand up to my value system and do the right thing. This was the first instance when it really happened to me. I had heard about it from other people that such moments will come in our lives, and it happened to me And, since then, it went up and up because what you do in the first instance drives the direction you go, right? If you slip in the first instance and you become used to it, you start to keep doing it. And I'm very glad that, that kept me going and all that. That's when I realized the true joy of being authentic and being true to yourself and your value system. Deep down value system, not a superficial value system, is so important. And that's what I wanted to share as a story that really built the rest of my career on top.
Fantastic. That's absolutely wonderful to hear, Sailesh. You've set the ball rolling with such a lovely story, and I love what you said. I mean, that the purpose of what we do is our responsibility. I love that phrase, right? That sort of it shapes the way we lead our life, and the fact that that was the first act that you did when you had an opportunity to become a millionaire, and you chose to do the right thing by it. Fantastic. Thank you for sharing that. Let's hear from Deepak, Venkatesh.
Well, just go ahead, Venkat.
Okay, so I'm just trying to recollect, some of those instances during the early part of my career, which perhaps could have gone either way, but things happened right, and I perhaps chose the right thing to do. So I'm just recollecting some of those instances, and this was my early days with Godrej, and we used to have a very large distribution center in the outskirts of Mumbai, and this distribution center was responsible for running the supply chain for all the goods across India. And I was a fairly new management trainee with the organization, and so after 6 months of going around different functions, so this was the chosen place, some role as the head of the distribution center. But then along with these roles came some of the governmental agency related challenges, specifically with regards to some of the duties and taxes which one typically used to incur as part of the dispatches which one used to make. And very soon enough, and though I was warned very early by some of the real veterans who were running and part of this show of the distribution chain, I was warned and told that there are some government officials who will stop by, Venkatesh, and you got to be ready to deal with them because these guys would demand. I mean, and the good old days when there wasn't any hassles on one indirect tax system. This is those good old excise duty days, I mean, I'm not sure how many of the folks in India would recollect those days. We had a multiplicity of taxations which used to get administered, all through the chain. So yeah, so there was this wonderful inspector who happened to stop by, and he was a local man, and he started saying that who is the manager for this place, and all the hands pointed towards me, and he said, "Looks like you're a new man." I said, "Yes, sir. I'm just here since the last couple of months. Tell me, what can I do for you?" He said, "Well, excise is a very, very difficult subject to handle, and you have to be ready to know that we can impose certain fines on you just by raising some non-compliances." So I said, "Yes, sure. I know, I'm very much aware of it, and I believe Godrej, we are extraordinarily compliant, and give him the 9 yards of what we do." But he apparently didn't seem interested. He said, "Please come to my office tomorrow, and I'm not really wanting to discuss anything with you now." And so I went to the office, and it was very obvious that there was something extra which these guys demanded for making sure that the goods which were leaving this rather large distribution center, these operations could go unhinged smoothly without any stoppages by these inspectors. And for some reason, when I heard that he kept saying that, you got to do something, you got to do something, for some reason, what struck to me was he was demanding something which was definitely over and above what probably our value systems were demanding, or what our value systems were. And I told him, sir, as an organization, we aren't really much doing anything other than perhaps doing the right thing. So I really don't know, what are you expecting? And he said, no, Venkatesh, this is something which we have been doing for donkey's years, and you should know this. And very soon, the dispatchers had to stop. So we had to go with one day with no dispatches. The matter got escalated to the headquarters. And I got a call from the headquarters saying that, what is happening? It seems that, all the dispatches have stopped. And I remember there was this, I had a wonderful lead, one of my managers then at Godrej Vikroli, and I had to tell him, sir, it's a choice which we have to make. Either we succumb to what's being demanded, because this is not going to stop, or we stick to doing the right thing, even if it comes at the cost of dropping our efficiencies. We got to do the right thing, because it's now or it's never. And I told him that there's one more aspect to this, which is that things would get escalated to the point of you having to intervene. And I would request you also to do the right thing. So the matter continued for 3 days. And finally, this inspector said that I had enough of this man who comes to my office, sits from 9 to 5 doing nothing, doesn't do anything, and he expects me to sign off on all the things which these guys do. And finally, he signed off. So I really didn't know what exactly was that strength which I carried then. Perhaps there was this so-called strange spirit of idealism, which was there in me, and I believe there is some parts of it still within me, and it's helping me to do whatever I'm doing till date. Yeah.
Some parts. No. We want all of them, all of it, Venkatesh. We want all of that idealism and more.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. But I was kind of, it could have gone either way, Subbu. So it was just that, we are so much used to taking shortcuts in
succumbing to the
it's part of, I can tell you, even today, much of the supply chains in India, there's so much of inherent inefficiencies, thanks to the compromises which we all make with the regulatory institutions. Forget the systemic inefficiencies. That's a different ballgame altogether.
Yes.
So it's a choice which we got to make.
Yeah.
And it's okay sometimes to let inefficiencies creep in.
Yes.
It's okay occasionally to not to be in the good books, but it's okay also to do the right thing.
Absolutely. Very well said. In fact, what you tell me reminds me of this very famous adage which says that evil continues to grow in this world not because there are too many evil men. It is because the few good men do nothing about it.
Wow.
Well said.
Yes.
Well said.
Yes. So I'm glad that you took that stand as much as Shailesh did. And let us hear what Deepak, the three musketeers, the third musketeer, what has he done?
Musketeer. Wow.
Go ahead.
I think as compared to my colleagues, my moment of realization was in 2010. And this is what I consider as, just before that was one of the finest times of my life. We were really riding the wave of building the first smartphone from India and really going head on with HTCs of the world, doing pretty well. And everything was really rosy. I headed the department for the product design, product management, strategy, the core function, and it was going amazing. 17th of November, 2010.
Wow.
It was supposed to be a board meeting with big guys, big guns, and I was supposed to make the board presentation, and 2:30, I was standing outside the boardroom. there was no meeting. My boss, CEO of my division, he came out and said, Deepak, it's all done. It's all packed. And I could not understand a word that what happened. We had a contract from AT&T, really awesome product. It's still sitting in my desk, by the way, the phone and the stuff that we built. He said, no, it's over. And I could not understand a word. By the evening, I realized that it's really over. They have shelved the whole division of 1,000 people. And it was gone. And it took me a couple of days to understand what's going on. And suddenly I realized that I have 50 people under me with which I have built one-to-one family bonds who have come onto the ship because of me. Suddenly a sense of so much of responsibility gripped me like a father. It was like very amazing feeling, a very sad one also, at what I'm going to do now. Then second thing which struck me was like, it's okay about these guys. What's going to happen to you, man? They will still find something. What about you? And that was second thought. And I was like, I really cried. And I was like, I didn't know what to do. Then from next day onwards, I teamed up with my CEO and identified some targets and wanted to move the whole department out. Went to Samsung, went to Huawei, Tata Elxsi, who's and who's of the world, you know, design as agencies to take the whole department in, build the whole cost sheets, salaries, whatever, you know, everything I did almost like it's my company which I have to save. Nothing worked out. And then 1 week later, I signed each and everyone off. And that is the day I first tweeted. And the tweet was, falling one by one, last man standing. I had to literally sign off everybody, go. And I was alone in my department. That was the moment of realization, and it shook me. It shook me like anything. That now when I really take on somebody on my team, I think 20,000 times what to set the expectation, how deep to go, and how to set the expectation in a way that there are certain things in my control, there are certain things not in my control. I assumed all those things that they will be there like sunlight, but it looks like it is not going to be. It is a failed attempt in salvaging the team and looking after the people, but a very warm one. The relationships that I built still are with me, and those are the ones that I could count on my fingers. I told the other day, those stood by me. And today also it's like, if I give a call, they will come. So that's my moment of realization. Not a very heroic thing, but a very moving one, which sort of like taught me a lot.
Yes. In the most, this is a very typical situation, not typical in the sense that these are those very difficult ones where you don't emerge victorious. You actually failed, right? Personally, you failed, but something good has emerged out of it. And that's what is making you feel stronger from the experience, and you're still continuing to do what you're doing. So that's very nice to hear, Deepak. Thank you so much. Right.
And I feel really just, sorry for many who would be facing this today.
Exactly.
In this pandemic, I'm sure there are many, many who are struggling with the same conflict that you struggled with at one point.
Yes, yes. Yeah. In fact, this is the most difficult part of a leader's role, having to let go of good quality people. People who have done nothing wrong, people who have actually stayed loyal to the organization, have been true to their value system and given whatever, many of them are given maybe most of their lives in that particular role. And that's the most difficult job to do. I think all of us have seen it happen sometime or the other. Most difficult, but they are family over a period of time, they're from family. Yeah. Okay. Now, I'm just cognizant of the time. We are looking at 1 hour. We are stopping at 7 p.m. Is that a hard close? How are we guys on time?
Depending on the audience, we can go on.
Yes, I will follow that because I'm stickler for time. But in case there is flexibility, I will let that continue. So continuing on this, I mean, it's a good platform that you guys have set up now. the question that comes to my mind is what are the kind of the tools or the practices that have enabled you to keep this sense of authenticity, integrity over such a long period of time? Because we all have our highs and lows, we have our dips, and with the seasons, things change, fortunes change. But what has enabled you to stay true to those values, enabled you to stay true to your core? What do you do? How does it show?
Well, my mantra is sincerity. I feel that if you mean what you say and say what you mean, and you're sincere, that at least helps you clear your conscience. Yes, you can never satisfy everybody, and that cannot be the objective, even of the leader or any other person. But the guide rail for me personally is the sincerity bit. You have to be absolutely sincere.
Okay. When you say you have to be absolutely sincere, what enables you to achieve that sincerity? That's my question. What practices are you involving yourself in? What are the things that you do to enable you to hold to that sense of sincerity?
Sense of empathy, Subbu, I don't know how to define this. It's like understanding the perspective from where the people are coming. At least as a leader, I found that is very important, because I found that it's not the objective, but the manner or the presentation bit of it that basically leads to all the conflict situations. Especially I come from a very creative field of product design, very opinionated, very subjective field. It's like mere wala pink, that's the best thing. In there, empathy becomes very important. If you are empathetic to others, understand their perspective, the sincerity bit, presentation of it becomes very easy. The other person can understand from where you are coming. So that helps me, we'll build on this, but that's what I really try to do, is to understand where the other person is coming from. And, remove the filters, the glasses, to see the things as they are, not as I want to see them.
We have a question from one of our...
We have two questions, and I'll bring them up.
Please.
And anyone can pick it up. The first, first is, thank you, excellent sharing on value systems, and probably a strong value system that gave you the energy. Do the panelists think that a strong value system gave them the courage? And that's from Vipul. And I see a big nod from Shailesh, a thumbs up from Deepak, and a smile from Venkatesh. So I think that says it all. The second question we have is sincerity and honesty, from Joy? This is to Deepak. The same in your opinion, Deepak?
Honesty is a subset of sincerity.
Yeah. Thank you.
Sincerity goes much beyond, actually. Since sincerity is not only saying a spade is spade, but how to say a spade is also a part of that. The intent and the communication both comes in there.
Oh, that's interesting, Deepak.
Yeah.
So the intent and communication is part and parcel of sincerity, okay?
In my definition, my 2 cents.
Okay.
Yeah, that's where it gets communicated ultimately. How does somebody experience your sincerity is through your communication and language, I guess.
Like the discussion, right? The patient is going to die. A sincere doctor, what should he do? And an honest doctor, what should he do? Should he go and tell that you're going to die? Or a sincere doctor says something else? That's the question. Sincerity has inbuilt quality of doing the right thing at the right time. That's somewhat inbuilt, in my opinion. Maybe the word could be different, but that's what I really am alluding to.
So I'll give a definition, Deepak, that I discovered for myself. When I started my whole journey towards authenticity, so mine was with a lot more drama. I had a very horrific experience where I got stung by 100 bees outside my condominium.
Oh.
And that was my wake up call to realizing, what am I doing with my life? It was a big question I asked myself. What do I want for myself and my life? Uh, However, having moved from there, moved on and searching for what next to do, uh, many experiments in careers. I was working in India, and what stood out for me from my various years and jobs of experience, years of working experience, was what many of my peers and colleagues or people I engaged with in the corporate world, what they said and what they did, the gap was too wide all the time. And it struck out so strongly at me that I decided to just leave corporate world and say, I'm going to focus on leadership development. Uh, Little did I know, when I started on this journey, I was searching for how to even address this space. So I met a coach in my journey, and the first question she asked me was, are you coachable? This is like 15 years ago, hadn't heard the word. So I said, okay, if you were to coach me, what would you say? Like when you said, audacious, authentic, the sharp question that came at me was, whose acceptance are you waiting for? And that was the most devastating moment for me, because the answer that emerged out of my heart immediately was everyone. And that's the day I decided it's about time to turn around and really look at, what do I want for myself? So, and I asked myself this question on honesty. What does honesty mean to me? Am I honest with the world? Am I honest with myself? And I had spent most of my life being honestly expressing myself, but not honest with myself. And I think that was a big wake up call to knowing, what does honesty mean?
Interesting. Yeah. Very nice.
Very nicely put. LS Murthy has, I just picked up this comment from him, which says, awesome insights from the season panel, fabulous experiences. And he has a query to the panel. While in a dilemma, what did you choose? Your instincts or the wise counsel or consultation from a mentor?
Deepak, the question's to you.
Oh, okay. All right. They are sequential function, actually. The sequential function, in a way, yes, counsel is important. Again, the idea is to remove the filters. The idea is to see the things as they are, to build empathy. And that's a skill you need to build. But eventually, it's a call of the heart. So they are sequential function. One is accessing the information in Salish's language, getting the data. And second is the decision engine. The decision engine is the heart. And consulting is the access, the getting access to all the data. Yeah.
So in a way, you're saying your mentor is your heart.
Yes.
Ultimate mentor.
Okay.
Final mentor.
Final.
All right.
Well, very fabulously said. Thank you.
Very nice. Very nice. Yeah.
So I just wanted to add to this conversation a little bit. So one of the things that helps me stay authentic is, so in a way, I have developed this ability to both do and observe myself at the same time. And, this was triggered by one of the episodes in Ramayana when I was a kid, I saw where the guru was, taking Ram away from himself as a doer and an observer. And he said, look, you look to yourself and see what you are doing and why you are doing it, right? And that really stuck with me from childhood, that I started looking at whatever I do, there can be right and wrong, but the why of it, I have to know. Whether I'm doing it because it feels good, because it'll please the boss, because it'll satisfy my insecurity, because it'll increase my vanity, because I'll become have a ulterior motive later in return from something. The why of it, if you are clear on, and that's where the mentorship helps to clear those things, the why of it, right? And if we keep answering the question, why am I doing this really, and filter out all the shallow whys, but the deep why, when you start to think about it, I think that is when you start to make a clear decision, right? So this clarity of thought has to come. Until then, we pause, we think about especially important decisions. But for me, the why of it, the purity of the intent of the decision, whatever it may be, is very important. And if there is a little bit of ulterior motive or fear or insecurity or ego or any of these negative qualities or prejudice or jealousy or bias or whatever, then something is wrong with what you're doing. And to be authentic is to be able to accept that this is why you made the decision, right or wrong. That is what authenticity means to me in terms of knowing why you did it. Whether it was the right reason or wrong reason is a later thing to improve upon. But accepting that you did it because of this reason is authenticity, right? And that I think helped me on the way to decipher, how do we make decisions and how do we uh, do leadership or even your regular day-to-day life, everything we do.
Just to add to that, very nice story. In fact, I remember that episode very, graphically in my mind, where the Karan Sharif goes there, or the subtle body goes there, and he talks about this, the idea of observer. Another thing with Krishna was a similar context, but a little different. Krishna poses a question in one of these hypothetical discussions by some author. He says that how to take a decision. Do you take a decision to calm your mind, or you take a decision with a calm mind? Now that's a circular logic in my mind, and it's still ringing in my mind. But it's an interesting thing. Do we take a decision to calm our minds, or should we take a decision with a calm mind? What would we choose?
That question must be disturbing a lot of minds now. So you've put us in a conundrum now, right? Interesting conundrum to be in. Yeah, I'm sure there's something to reflect on. Yeah. I've got a couple of comments have come from Gopal Uppaliyappan. He has raised it relevant to what you just said about self-awareness, about the observer and the observed, right? And Santosh Shastri is posing this question: when you're faced with a tough situation that needs a resolution, do you sleep over it or jump on it? What is a good approach? Any of you can answer that.
Well, there were some clues which is already provided early in what Deepak said earlier. So I think, the disposition is very important before we want to debate on the disposition of the mind. I mean, it's very important before we want to debate on what are the solutions to a problem. And when I say disposition of the mind, I am actually, I like what Deepak said about the idea of calmness. So specifically with regards to the function of what we can pick on data points. When I say data points, I mean hard facts, black and white facts. So herein you have a memory bank and you have processes. You can put both of them together, and this forms one part of the key inputs which are required for your decision making. But there is another aspect to it, which I believe can perhaps get better facilitated if you have a calmer disposition. And it doesn't mean that by having a calmer disposition, you can arrive at a conclusion quickly. It doesn't mean that. Okay, a calmer disposition would still entail one taking more time. And there are occasions, perhaps I feel so, that there have been times where the disposition has allowed me to arrive at a point very quickly, without much ado. So, and I think that is where I guess is the heart's call. I hope I'm able to put it in the right perspective. So the mind a calm mind, a calm disposition, with an ability to put all the facts in an as-is state, and an ability to connect to the inner, the heart, together can help one to arrive at the right decision.
Beautiful. Very well said. So you're distinguishing between the reaction and response, right?
You
Yes.
see,
Yes.
I'm not a trained leadership coach, Subbu, so.
No. This is not a leadership terminology. It is, I'm seeing beautifully you talked about this. In fact, it reminds me of this famous quote by Dr. Viktor Frankl. It's my favorite. I always,
Okay.
Where he says, between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space lies the power to choose our response. And in that response lies our growth and our freedom.
Sure.
Right? The space, the one that you're talking about, calming your disposition, making those choices in a collective, cool mind, using the cognitive gift that is unique to the mankind.
Yes.
It's that, right? How do I react? How do I stop reacting and start responding? And it's a lovely word, right? Responsibility, the root word is ability to respond.
Sure.
So in that sense, it's what you said is exactly in line with that, saying that how do I calm my disposition? The question to you is how not everybody is born gifted like you guys, right? With a calm, cool ability to think through it, understanding the whys, and instead of focusing on the how. We heard all that. Now, what is that enables you to develop that kind of ability to listen to your heart? What is that enables us to become more centered, explore and find out what is that core values that will guide me, give me that sense of meaning and purpose, give me that ability to respond with the right responses? What is it? What have you guys been doing about that? Share those secrets, please.
So Subbu, one of the things which I do is I meditate. Okay, I spend a little bit amount of time every day consciously sit in a quiet place, and that kind of helps you to get on with your I would say the day's circle better. So this is one of the things which I do, and there is another aspect to what I do, which kind of drove me towards a practice like this. Was we over a period of time are all creatures of experiences, and what I felt is that there is a tendency in all of us, due to our collective experiences, to lose that sense of can I call it perfection? To lose that sense of utopia, or whatever you want to call it. And I didn't want to do that. Okay, so I wanted to cling on to that idea. I really don't know how well defined is that idea, but I wanted to hold on to it, and I wanted to do something about it. And I do believe that it has helped me to be better connected with myself. As Ashu put it earlier, being myself. Okay, and to that extent, I would say that it really helps you in your work life, in your personal life too. Okay. And there are a couple of other things which I wanted to share, but then I think I would let others also do their bit on this part.
Sure. Thank you, Vinod. Yes, Deepak and Shailesh, if you have anything to share on what enables you to be consistently and connect with that mentor within you.
Shailesh, you're on mute.
So what I realized is that, like we have developed mentorship outside, right? When we are children, we talk to our parents, grandparents, whoever. And I think, and when we grow professionally, we talk to professional mentors outside. But I think that the developing your inner mentor, if you will, right, the is also an exercise, active pursuit that we should do, right? And we go to coaching classes, we talk to people, we learn things from outside, but we don't put that much effort in connecting with our inner self, and developing that mentorship relationship with our inner self as much as we do with outside. And I think that imbalance makes us then look at Facebook and Twitter all the time to get guidance and not at ourselves, right? And that has to change. And I realized it very early that I was not satisfied with any answer I got from outside. And then when I used to meditate, I would get the clear answer with no doubt after that, right? And when there's no doubt after that, that's when you start to learn that, oh, this is another resource we have. We have to develop that resource. We cannot just assume it is there. We have to develop that resource. We have to work on that. Like we develop any other relationship with outside, we have to develop that relationship inside. And therefore, a consistent practice of meditation really helps you go deeper and deeper and deeper, and become confident with yourself and the things that come out of there. And then you can balance your mentorship coming from inside and outside, and then come up with a clear this thing. And that backing is very important. Everything we do, if your heart is saying no, even a little bit, I think you will know it. And that feeling based decision making will then become a part of your natural process eventually, right? Till then, it is a mental activity of calculation, politics, of other reasons why we do what we do, until all that is removed. So clarity of mind and purity of thought, both are very essential. Purity of heart are both very essential for a good leadership to emerge within all of us. And that's what I have experienced over a period of time. And the days I don't meditate are the days when I'm more confused about what am I doing. And, then I said, don't, important decisions, I'll tell you tomorrow morning, right? Let me sleep over it. Let me meditate on it on the morning. Let me consult myself. Then I'll think about it. Right? And, these kind of things, very quick story. Once I took a week off from US, went to India, in a meditation retreat, came back, everybody missed me. And then I had some brilliant ideas to share. And my boss said, where are you, where were you all this time? And how come you have these brilliant ideas now? And I said, I went for a meditation retreat. And he said, why don't you go there every month or something, right? And come back with these brilliant ideas. So that's the power of, where do you look, right? Do you do Google search outside all the time, or do you look within as much at least? And that balance, I think, is missing today. And we should develop that more, I think, as part of any leadership program. Very essential.
The last comment that you made actually has come at a good time, because Arvind has posed a question, an interesting one at that. Yeah? He's saying authentic leadership at a personal level has been wonderfully articulated by you guys. So he's asking you, what are your thoughts on institutionalizing authenticity as a culture in an organization? Incidentally, that's what Arka leadership is aiming to achieve. Yes. But hearing from you, it will be very, very good to know, because you people are living that. So what will it take to institutionalize authenticity as a culture? What do you think?
Yeah. Deepak, you want to go? You've been silent.
Now the ball is getting passed around.
It's like, I think the thing is that, as they say, that a group is made of individuals. And any revolution starts with the self. And if we have to build authenticity, or we have to ingrain in a culture, it has to be done bit by bit. The room or the house has to be replaced brick by brick. It cannot be demolished and overbuilt. That is not going to happen. So it is the individuals like us who have to do the arduous, and eventually it might come to something which will, manifest. The interesting point, what I observed is like, it's like the fish. If you take it out of the water, it can't survive. So there is a participant and there's an environment. Both are important. Or if you put an eagle in the water, it will die. What I'm trying to say, authentic leadership or authentic leaders need little nests, little environments to prosper. If you just put all of them in a sudden, or the people who are not so ready for authentic leadership into an authentic environment, they will die. Or if you put authentic leaders in a very toxic environment, they will die. It has to start at the personal level, that you have to build your own environment, a cocoon around you, if you will, and you take it where you go. And slowly you sort of like stick together and create a bigger environment. I think the only solution is that. It has to happen one brick at a time.
It's this idea, Deepak, is kind of, I'm kind of relating it to the Kaizen philosophy. The Japanese, philosophy of Kaizen, very often used, as far as manufacturing management techniques are concerned, wherein, fundamentally the idea is that, small incremental changes lead to substantial ones over a period of time.
Yeah. Yes, and it starts with the self,
Yes.
It's like tomorrow, if we say in any of the organization that we are going to follow this, it's not going to happen.
Exactly.
Yeah. The center of the change has to start from here.
Sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You got a new phrase for it, right? Micro habits. You got a new small improvements. Kaizen is now replaced. In the jargon, we are saying, hey, let's start with micro habits, small improvements.
Okay.
Yeah, Shailesh, you wanted to say something.
No, I wanted to say, leadership is like parenting to some extent, right? And I think you cannot teach your kids something different than who you are. They'll pick on it, right? So you can tell them, hey, be good, do this, do that. And if you are doing something other than what you're saying, so therefore, neither leadership nor authenticity of leadership can be taught in the way we think about teaching and all that. It has to be absorbed from people to people. And when people notice above you and below you that you are an authentic person, you're not doing it for your benefit, or you're doing it for the right reasons, you have the best of intentions in mind all the time consistently, then they wonder about themselves and then say, am I doing the same thing, right? And look how good I feel when I'm with this person. I can believe what he's saying, right? I can trust this person. And that is when it kind of builds. So it oozes out of a good person, goodness oozes out, like badness oozes out of a bad person. And, we say, no, Sangati ka asar, right? So it has to be, culture has to be it has to be evolving in an osmosis way, not explicitly taught. So just be ourselves, and I think be consistent, and I think, and put yourself in front of people, however bad or good the culture of the company or whatever it is, and let them observe you, and you stay what you are, and eventually you will start to see transformation in others. That I have seen in many places. Yeah, it happens.
Wonderful.
So sorry, I just wanted to add one more aspect to the question which you raised, which is with regards to bringing authenticity to leadership. I think authenticity, in an organizational environment, I'm specifically referring to an organizational environment. I think as a leader, or as a person provided with some form of responsibility or getting into a role of responsibility, it's vital to first believe in the values of the organization too, isn't it? There has to be a fundamental inner connect with the organization itself somewhere.
Yes.
With regards to how they are. You can call it values, you can call it part of their vision, but there has to be a connect, an inner connect. You got to feel comfortable that yes, this is probably the right place. And then from there, it probably kind of.
Yeah. We also seen some leaders who have gone into a system which is fairly corrupt, which is fairly, a difficult environment, if I may say so, and not really resonating with their own inner value systems, and have been the agent of change. We have seen that happen as well. Many a time, those are the people who, in fact, drive the culture. So it's one behavior, somebody who stands by his values. We have seen that happen in so many stories in India. We have seen like the Delhi metro system. We said that nothing can come of that city, nothing can ever happen. And we have one man who drove the entire initiative. Surat, we have seen the plague-ridden city, absolutely, terrible city, which was transformed by one individual. So there are those kind of people also we have come across who have managed to make those changes. And they have taken, I mean, we have seen the Ayodhya case because a 95-year-old man stood by what he feels is right. He was against the entire, millions of people. So we have had some great stories on that. Now we have one follow-up question that is coming to you, Shailesh, from Arvind, saying that you are an AI and ML expert. Is there a play for technology in such institutionalization of authenticity in
Wow. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, like we use technology for external things, but at least from an AI perspective, I'll tell you, now there is something called ethics in AI, right? There's a lot of talk about ethics in AI, and it has come because AI has taught us how corrupt we were as humans. And why it happened? Because AI was learning from the data we generated, and the data was corrupted by our own biases and prejudices. And that's what AI learned. And from that, I can relate that, look, like the parents teaching children, humans teaching AI. And now people are talking about ethics in AI, which will hopefully result in this ultimate discovery for mankind that let's build ethics in ourselves, ethics in AI will come, right? And I think people are now reflecting on these ideas that why should we talk about privacy, fairness, and all these ideas in machine learning models and not in ourselves. And if we are not uh, uh, fair, why are we expecting machines to be fair? Because we are generating the data. So we have hired people based on certain biases before. That data is now fed into a machine learning model. Those biases are in that model, right? Or like Facebook built a chatbot with all the teenage chats, and obviously that spitted out a lot of bad words when it was talking. So there's nothing, it's a reflection of who we are as a human race, the data that we are working with. So I think we should take a pause and reflect on it in terms of what kind of a collective society we have created. And then, I think technology as a mirror, not as a tool. Technology as a mirror should come back to us and say, look, this is what we are creating, right? Use cases, why are we doing it, right? All of that. So that I think is a good way to think about technology's use case. But if what does a mirror do? It's an external thing, but it turns our attention to ourselves only, right? Technology is not created for something else. It's for our own benefit. And if we use technology in that way, I'm sure there are companies that will probably create, truthfulness systems based on psychological tests and all that stuff and analyze that data and all that. There are neurological studies going on in terms of your brain patterns and stuff like that. So there are a lot of these sensory systems and AI systems which are trying to understand people's mindset and psychological and neurological conditions and anger and all that, anxiety and stress. But it's always going to remain a mirror. It'll only tell us what we should be knowing ourselves, because the sensors within are far more powerful and subtle than any sensor we can build outside, right? When we feel that something is wrong, there is no sensor outside that will measure my BP and then tell me that I'm wrong, right? So I think we should, I'm a fan of technology, but I know its limitation. And I think inner technology that we should build should be far more than the external technology. And if we all build that inner technology of observability, authenticity, all that, then we won't need, police force and, war machines and weapons and all that, because we will have inner sensors to guide us, right? So I think inner technology is something we should, that is really helpful, not external technology, but it's a mirror. We should use it in that way.
Beautiful. I think you put it very well. In a way, you summed up the essence of what we are talking here, Shailesh. In a way, you're saying that the inner mirror is far more important than the mirror that the technology is capable of showing us. And we should be focusing on that more and more as a daily input rather than a one-off, right? I heard all the three of you mention about meditation being one of the core practices that you all are engaged in being connected to the inner voice. So I think we come to that point where we need to maybe say, yes, pause here, let people digest all that has come from these three panelists, some excellent stories, excellent insights, some absolute wonderful points to reflect on as we go back this evening into respective homes and rooms and whatever we are coming from. And I would like to thank everybody who's taken some time and joined this conversation. This is just a beginning. There'll be more conversations coming our way. The idea is to make it completely open, no filters. And I hope that is what you experienced here. It is not a very formal conversation. It is not any guided conversation. And the leaders got the space to speak themselves, of course, within their own comfort in doing that. So with that, thank you, Shailesh, Deepak, Venkatesh, and of course, Ashu for being there, and all the those who have been here asking some really very, very deep questions. And sometime we may invite you for a conversation with us. I mean, you have triggered us with that thing that there's a lot that we can learn from you all. So great observations, great points. And just a closing remark, and this is a favorite of mine when it comes to defining leadership. It says leadership is about making others feel and do better as a result of your presence and making the impact last in your absence.
Oh.
Right. So we take leave from you. I hope the impact of this evening's conversation lasts. And thank you once again to everyone who has joined us, and looking forward to the next conversation. Have a great evening.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Subbu.
Thank you, Ashu. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you very much for such, deep insights. I would say very deep and very applicable. I think that was the part of it, which was because when you're talking from your authentic space, that you're giving a lot of courage and conviction to others to say, you can do it. So thank you so much for that.
Thank you, Ashu. Thank you. Thank you, Subbu.
Bye-bye.